Using your mirrors. While driving on the road, check your mirrors quickly. Look back and forth between the mirrors and the road ahead. Don't focus on the mirrors for too long because traffic can change suddenly and you might not notice what is happening around you. The convex mirrors. Many large vehicles have curved convex mirrors. They are often called fisheye or spot mirrors. They are wide-angle mirrors and they show you a wider area than flat mirrors do. These mirrors can change the appearance of approaching vehicles, making them seem smaller than looking at them directly. Things also will appear further away than they really are. You should be prepared and learn to adapt to this. Signaling your intentions. When driving, you should communicate with other drivers by letting them know what your intentions are. You can do this by using the turn signals, emergency four-way flashers, and brake lights. Remember to signal early. Signal well before you turn. This will keep others from trying to pass you. Signal continuously. You need both hands on the wheel to turn safely. Don't cancel the signal until you have completed the turn. Cancel your signal. Don't forget to turn off your turn signal after you have completed your turn. Put your turn signal on before changing lanes. Change lanes slowly and smoothly. You should use your four-way emergency flashers under the following conditions. If you're driving slow or stopped on the side of the road. If you're going uphill with cargo or a very heavy load. Brake lights. If there is trouble ahead and you need to warn others behind you. When making tight turns on a large vehicle. If you are going to cross over railroad tracks. If you are stopped in the roadway to unload cargo or passengers. Don't direct traffic. You may want to help out by signaling when it is safe to pass, but you should not do this. Never extend your arm out of the window to give an indication that another vehicle should pass you. It could cause an accident and you can be blamed for this. It can also cost you money. Because there are many forms of distractions on the road and inside of a vehicle, some drivers may not see your vehicle, even if it is in plain sight. Whenever you're about to pass a vehicle, pedestrian or bicyclist, assume they don't see you. They could suddenly move in front of you and create an emergency. Here are a couple of things you can do to let others know you are there. When it is legal, tap the horn lightly. At night, use your headlights and flash your lights from low to high. If the weather is bad or dark outside, make yourself easier to see by using your low beams. When you pull off the road and stop, be sure to turn on the four-way emergency flashers. Don't rely solely on the tailgates to give warning. Drivers have crashed into the rear of a parked vehicle because they thought it was moving normally. Placement of warning devices. If you must stop on a road or the shoulder of any road, you must put out your emergency warning devices within 10 minutes. A divided highway carrying traffic in one direction. A divided highway is a road which has two lanes of traffic traveling in opposite directions, with a strip of grass or concrete down the middle to separate the traffic. They are used to prevent collisions and avoid headlight glare from vehicles coming from the other direction. Warning device placement. Place your warning devices at the following locations. Place all your warning devices behind the vehicle, towards the approaching traffic. First triangle, 10 feet. Second triangle, 100 feet. Third triangle, 200 feet. An undivided highway carrying traffic in both directions. An undivided highway is a road which has one or more traffic lanes with no division to separate opposing flows of traffic. They may have solid painted stripes, and traffic is moving in both directions. Place your warning devices in the following location. First triangle, 10 feet in front or behind the vehicle. Second triangle, 100 feet in back of the vehicle. Third triangle, 100 feet in front of the vehicle. When stopped on a hill or a curve, other drivers may have difficulties seeing your vehicle. If they are within 500 feet, you should move the rearmost triangle to a point back down the road to provide warning. When putting out the triangles, hold them between yourself and the oncoming traffic for your own safety. Your horn should be used in emergency situations, to avoid an accident or a crash, to let others know that you are there. Use your horn when needed, but be mindful when used unnecessarily, it can startle others. Controlling your speed. Driving too fast is the major cause of all fatal crashes. You must adjust your speed according to the road conditions, including curves, hills, visibility, and traffic. Stopping distance. Stopping distance is used to calculate how long it would take a vehicle to stop while traveling at 55 miles per hour under good conditions, taking the following factors in consideration. Perception distance, reaction distance, braking distance. Perception distance is distance your vehicle travels in good conditions from the time your eyes see a hazard until your brain recognizes it. Reaction distance is the distance you will continue to travel in good conditions before you physically hit the brakes in response to a hazard seen ahead. Braking distance is the distance your vehicle will travel until you can come to a complete stop. When you add up all three factors, perception, reaction, and braking distance, it will add up to the total stopping distance. This distance is 419 feet, or the full length of a football field. The effect of speed and stopping distance. By doubling your speed, you increase the chances of an accident. If you increase your speed from 20 to 40 miles per hour, the impact and stopping distance is 4 times greater. If you increase your speed from 20 to 60 miles per hour, the impact and stopping distance is 9 times greater. If you increase from 20 to 80 miles per hour, the impact and stopping distance 16 times greater. The parts on heavy vehicles are designed to work best when the vehicle is fully loaded. If you compare a vehicle that's loaded versus one that is empty, and they both try to stop at the same time, the loaded vehicle will stop quicker because empty vehicles have less traction. Matching speed to road conditions. As a professional driver, you will have to be aware of the road conditions. Some conditions will require you to reduce your speed and adjust your turning. Take the following into consideration. On a wet road, reduce your speed by 1/3, from 55 to about 35 miles per hour. On packed snow, reduce your speed by half or more. On an icy surface, reduce your speed to a crawl and stop driving as soon as you can safely do so. Signs of slippery roads may be shaded areas that remain icy and slippery even after the ice is melted. The bridges will freeze before the road will. Be especially careful below freezing temperatures under 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Melting ice is much more slippery than ice that is not slippery. Black ice. This is a thin layer of ice that you can see the road underneath it. Vehicle icing. This is an indication that the surface is beginning to ice up. After the rain begins, water is mixed with oil left on the ground by other vehicles. Hydroplaning. When the road is wet due to rain or melting snow, your vehicle can hydroplane. Hydroplaning occurs when the tires lose their contact with the road and lose their traction. During this time, you may not be able to steer or brake. To regain control, you should release the accelerator and push in the clutch. Do not use the brakes. Push in the clutch to let the wheels roll freely. It does not take a lot of water to cause hydroplaning. Hydroplaning can occur at speeds as low as 30 miles per hour if there is a lot of water. Caution: you are more likely to hydroplane if you have low tire pressure and the tread on the tires are worn out. While entering curves, you should slow down to a safe speed before you enter the curve. Don't ever exceed the posted speed limit. If you take a curve too fast, two things can happen. The tires can lose their traction and the vehicle will continue straight ahead, which can cause you to skid off the road. The tires can keep their traction, making the vehicle roll over. You should always be able to stop within the distance that you can see ahead. Some conditions, such as fog and rain, may require you to slow down. You may also have to use your high beams during the night when it's hard to see, and slow down when you switch back to the low beams. When you're driving in heavy traffic, the safest speed is the speed of other vehicles. Keep the following in mind. Keep a safe following distance. Don't exceed the posted speed limits. Avoid passing others to get through traffic. Speed on downgrades. Your vehicle's speed will increase on downgrades because of gravity. The following are factors that may affect your speed: the total weight of your vehicle and its cargo, the length of the grade, the steepness of the grade, the weather, the road conditions. While going downhill, don't exceed the maximum safe speed. Shift your transmission to a low gear before starting down the grade. You must use the braking effect of the engine as the principal way of controlling your speed on downgrades. The braking effect of the engine is greatest when it is near the governed RPMs and the transmission is in lower gears. You can observe the tachometer and the speedometer effects. Using the engine can save your brakes and allow you to slow down or stop. Always observe the posted speed limits when approaching or driving through a work zone. Decrease your speed in the following situations: during adverse weather, when road conditions are poor, when visibility is limited, when a worker is close to the roadway. Safe drivers manage the space around their vehicle, the space in front, to the rear, and the sides, above and below. But of all the space around the vehicle, it is the area in front of the vehicle the most important. Larger vehicles take up more space. They also require more space for stopping and turning. Most accidents happen when large vehicles follow too close and try to stop. They soon realize that larger vehicles take longer to stop than smaller vehicles. To keep a safe following distance, use the following guidelines. For every 10 feet of cargo, add 1 second of following distance. For speeds over 40 miles per hour, add 1 second for safety. An example of this would be a 40-foot truck traveling at highway speed would require about 5 seconds of following distance. Calculating space ahead. To know how much space you have, wait until the vehicle in front of you passes a landmark on the road. Count off the seconds like this: 1001, 1002, and so on until you reach the same spot. You may have to adjust your following space if you are following too close. Then repeat until you match the following space. Calculating space behind. Many vehicles will follow larger vehicles in bad weather and may get trapped behind you. You cannot control others from following too close, but there are things that you can do to make it safer. Try and stay to the right. This often happens when you're going uphill carrying a heavy load. Dealing with tailgaters safely. If you find yourself being tailgated, you should avoid quick changes. Signal early and reduce your speed very gradually. Increase your following distance. Don't speed up. It's safer to be tailgated at a lower speed than it is at a higher speed. Avoid tricks. Don't turn on your tailgate lights or flash your brake lights. Spaces to the side. Most commercial vehicles are wide and take up most of a lane. You will have to keep the vehicle centered in the lane. Avoid traveling next to other vehicles. There are two dangers in traveling alongside other vehicles. Another driver may change lanes suddenly and turn into you. You may be trapped when you need to change lanes. Also, drop back or pull forward so the other drivers can see you. Strong winds. Strong winds make it difficult to stay in your lane. The problem is worse for lighter vehicles. The problem can be especially bad when you are coming out of tunnels. Keep a strong grip on the steering wheel and don't drive alongside of others if you can avoid it. Hitting overhead objects is a danger. Make sure you always have overhead clearance. Don't assume that the heights posted at bridges and overpasses are correct. Repaving or packed snow may have reduced the clearances since the heights were posted. The weight of a cargo van changes its height. An empty van is higher than a loaded one. That you got under a bridge when you were loaded does not mean that you can do it when you are empty. If you doubt you have safe space to pass under an object, go slowly. If you aren't sure you can make it, take another route. Some roads can cause a vehicle to tilt. There can be a problem clearing objects along the edge of the road, such as signs, trees, or bridge supports. Where this is a problem, drive a little closer to the center of the road. Before you back into an area, get out and check for overhanging objects such as trees, branches, or electrical wires. Space below. Many drivers forget about the space underneath their vehicles. If the vehicle is heavy loaded, it may reduce the space underneath. The space is very important when driving on dirt roads and on unpaved yards, when they cross drainage channels, or when they cross over railroad tracks. Don't take the chance of getting stuck or hung up. Cross over these areas carefully. Off-tracking. When making turns, large vehicles can hit other vehicles or objects during turns. You should monitor your mirrors and adjust your turning. The longer the vehicle, the greater chances of off-tracking. Turn slowly to give yourself and others more time to avoid problems. If you cannot make the right turn without swinging into the other lane, turn wide as you complete the turn. Keep the rear of your vehicle close to the curb. This will stop other drivers from trying to pass you on the right. If you must cross into the oncoming lane to make a turn, watch out for vehicles coming towards you. Give them room to go by or to stop. However, don't back up for them because you might hit another vehicle behind you. Don't turn wide to the left as you start the turn. A following driver may think you are turning left and try to pass you on the right. You may crash into the other vehicle as you complete your turn. On left turns, make sure that you have reached the center of the intersection before you start the turn. If you turn too soon, the left side of your vehicle may hit another vehicle because of off-tracking. If there are two turning lanes, always take the right turn lane. Don't start in the inside lane because you may have to swing right to make the turn. Be aware of the size and weight of your vehicle when you cross or enter traffic. Larger vehicles, especially heavy loaded vehicles, will take longer to cross intersections. Acceleration will vary with the load. You should allow more time when your vehicle is heavy loaded. Seeing hazards. A hazard is any road condition or road user, such as a driver, a bicyclist, or a pedestrian, that is a possible danger. Spotting hazards can prevent emergencies if you learn to recognize them before they happen. The more you drive, the better you get at detecting them. Move-over laws require drivers to slow down and change lanes when approaching a roadside incident or emergency vehicle. You should always yield the right-of-way to these vehicles. Work zones should be treated with caution. When driving through work zones, you should always respect the speed limit. Use your four-way flashers to warn drivers behind you. Be aware of drop-offs. They can tilt your vehicle and cause you to hit roadside objects. Look out for workers and construction vehicles. They can come out of nowhere into your path. Look out for foreign objects that may have fallen onto the road. They can damage your tires and rims or get caught underneath the vehicle and cause further damage. Off-ramps and on-ramps. When getting off freeways or large vehicles, you should always reduce your speed below the posted speed limits, about 5 to 10 miles per hour. These speeds are okay for automobiles, but not for larger or heavy loaded vehicles. Slow down and adjust your braking and turning on curved exits. Vehicles that have blocked vision, such as vans, loaded station wagons, and cars with rear windows blocked, are examples of hazards. Rental truck drivers are often not used to the limited visibility they have to the sides and rear of the truck. Partially hidden vehicles at intersections or alleys may back out or enter into your lane. Delivery trucks often block the driver's vision or may be in a hurry and suddenly step out of their vehicle or drive their vehicle into the traffic lane. Drivers can open the door and step outside, creating an emergency. Watch out for movement inside the vehicle or movement of the vehicle itself that shows people are inside. Distractions. Pedestrians and bicyclists wearing portable stereos with headsets may be hazards because they cannot hear you or see you. Drivers changing a tire or fixing an engine may not pay attention to the danger on the roadway. Passing drivers stopping to look at an accident may slow or stop suddenly. Confused drivers and tourists unfamiliar with the area can change directions, stop suddenly without any warning. Be aware of backup lights suddenly coming on. Large vehicles such as farm machinery, construction machinery, and tractors can present hazards. Some of these vehicles will have the slow-moving vehicle symbol to warn you. This is a red triangle with an orange center. Drivers trying to pass commercial vehicles may try and cut you off to avoid being stuck behind you. This may cause you to brake suddenly. Drivers who are sleepy, have had too much to drink, are on drugs, or who are ill are hazards. Watch for vehicles that drift over the divider lanes, travel at inconsistent speeds, or stop suddenly. You should always be looking for hazards because they can turn into emergencies. By spotting them ahead of time, will give you time to react and plan a way out of an emergency. This will prepare you to become a defensive driver.